Hey there. Today I wanted to just kind of go with an idea, a topic that I think is really relevant. It's always been relevant, but it's definitely relevant now. And I'll just say this: nothing is random. There's nothing random. Everything is planned, and it just goes along with my core belief that I've had from a very young age. I believe that money management, cash flow management is essential. I don't care how little you have, how much you have, it's essential. And it kind of goes to, you know, what I'm witnessing as I'm learning is I'm never going to stop learning. That's just me. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And so I'll never sit up, even though I have a vast experience in the financial world. I've done a lot of things. um, Regardless of that, I'll never sit up and say, I just know everything. And I know a lot, but I'll never say I know everything. But one thing, and I try to keep it really foundational. And, that's the whole purpose behind Budget Money Grow, because I believe that having a cash flow management plan, having that always in place, always continuing to work on that, continuing to educate yourself around money, around the financial system, right, will enable and will allow for growth, right? You really can't grow without those essential elements, because without that plan as a foundation, you're skipping a step. And so most people get rich, right? You can get rich real quick on a flip, on a whatever, on a whim. It's very possible. It happens a lot. But what happens is, and what people find over time, is that they aren't able to sustain it without a good foundation. Foundation is key for everything. And so, this is why, again, I'm so adamant about having a plan. Most people get caught up on the money and don't get caught up on the plan, because you can come into a lot of money. And because I come from a financial background, I've seen it. Come into a lot of money and turn around and it's gone, because they didn't have a foundation. So the money just went into a void, right? It just dissipated. It just disappeared. And I've seen people look back and say, what in the world? What happened to all my money? Listen, you got to have a plan. You just have to. It's not going to work without a plan. It's not. So back to what I'm talking about. Nothing is random. Everything is planned. When you talk about wealthy individuals, you can get rich without a plan. You definitely can. But you will never get wealthy without one, because there is no accident in wealth. Wealth is a process of methodical, deliberate planning. So whatever you want to do, whether it's get out of debt, whether it is, own a home, whether it is get rich, right? Whether it is, be able to walk away from your 9 to 5, whatever it is you want to do, it has to be planned. It has to have a plan underneath it, because you can skip that step of planning and just luck up into something, but it won't be sustainable. It will fall apart, right? And so part of planning is not just written, right? It's action as well. It is learning, right? And, where we are in the financial world, it's not random. Like, if you study the history of the financial system, then what's happening right now for a lot of people will become more apparent, because nothing is random. Everything is planned. wealthy people get wealthier in tragedy and um, uh, I guess bad circumstances because they're in constant planning mode. They're constantly looking ahead, planning ahead, so they don't lose, right? They don't lose overall because they're in that constant mode of looking ahead and planning. And so it has to be the same way for you. Even if you don't have a dime, even if you don't have, you're like, I'm barely scraping by right now. Nothing happens without a plan. You can go out and personally, again, because I'm a budget master, I'm a money management master. I've been able to do things even when I was a single mother that people making 3 times my income couldn't do, because I'm a planner. I'm a master planner. But I also am educated, right? So I have educated myself in taxes, right? I don't necessarily have certifications in those things, right? So I'm not sitting here like, oh, I'm a PhD. No. I just simply learn. And because that's like my zone of genius, I guess you could say. And I've been in the financial space for so long, I've just taken the time to continuously learn. I've just simply taken the time to continuously learn and continue to plan. Like, that's my foundation, is planning. And even through error in my life, right? Even through horrible setbacks in my life, I never denied the power of planning. I never stopped planning, because planning has allowed me to do things that other people would deem impossible. So whatever you want to do, the reason that I'm saying this, anything you want to do, you can do it with a plan. You have to write it down. You have to act on it. You have to come back and revisit it. You got to revise it. Sometimes you might need to get a little help. You might need somebody to sit down and be like, well, let's tweak this, let's tweak that, because that may not be your zone of genius, but it's still your money, right? And so it's okay to get a little help if you need it, but you have to have a plan, because there's nothing random that's happening. There's nothing random that's happening. Everything is on purpose. And people that pay attention to their cash flow, right? This is what I believe. People that generally pay attention to their cash flow, they kind of by default start learning some things. By default, certain more starts to come to them because they're actually intentional with their money. They're not accidental. I have sat down with individuals who on paper should have no financial problems. On paper should have no financial problems. But in real life, their finances were a wreck. Not because they weren't making enough money, because they didn't have a plan. So I know by experience, from my own experience, having to start over from nothing and able to do things that other people couldn't do. People were scratching their head looking at me like, how did she do that? How is she affording that? It's called planning. Planning will allow you to do things that nothing else will let you do when you're able to look ahead. But my personal experience in the financial world, sitting down with thousands of people throughout my career in various industries, whether it was real estate, mortgage lending, banking, taxes, a lot of, student, financial aid. I did that very early on when I started working. No matter what I did, I noticed that most people didn't really have a handle on their finances. When you would ask simple questions, they couldn't really answer because it wasn't something they were accustomed to thinking about. And to me, you can answer certain questions right off the top if you're accustomed to looking at your finances, if you're accustomed to having a plan for certain things. And so, again, nothing is random. So your finances shouldn't be random, right? Nothing is random. Everything is planned, including where we are right now in the world of finance, where we are right now in our economy. Everything has a plan to it. And so the more that you become a planner yourself, the more you get really serious about what managing your cash flow, the less you can become a victim of things that were already set in motion, right? Um, so get develop a planner's mindset. Some may even have to pray about it, right? Because they're so accustomed to just fly by night doing things, or just doing things on the fly, I guess I should say. Some people are so accustomed to that, it really takes a breaking to say, no, 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 no. I'm going to start doing it like this. I'm going to be intentional about what I'm doing with my money. And that's what I hope and pray for everybody, because it will literally make a difference. It will literally, the sunlight will come in, the clouds will break, things will become so much clearer for you when you start operating on the principle that nothing is random and everything is planned. And that becomes the mantra for your own money. Because there are things happening that little old me, average person, cannot control. But the thing you have control of is what you're doing and what decisions you're making with your money. And like I said, whatever you want to do, if it's getting out of debt, walking away from that 9 to 5, if it's getting rich, whatever you say your goal is, you can't skip that step. You have to plan, because you're going to be looking at a sure fall if you try to overstep planning, if you try to overstep basic management of whatever it is you have. Now, how you manage might be a little different than someone else. It's your money management plan, right? People can give you insight, they can give you tips, they can say, hey, why don't you try using this or using that? But ultimately, you got to find your groove and you got to work with it. But you got to get into a planning mindset so that you can act on the education that you get and not be stuck, right? A lot of times it's not a matter of money. It's a matter of being prepared for the opportunities that are there to make money. And oftentimes when you're operating with the cloudiness of what's happening with your finances, then it's going to cause missed opportunity, right? Missed opportunity to have that more, to be out of debt, to get rich, to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. You need to be prepared to receive it. And that starts with the plan.